Blunt? Well, yes, I am. But somebody needs to be.
And you mentioned the word blunt, but there's nothing that you don't leave out. There's nothing that's sort of airbrushed, or everything is pretty much there.
Oh no, there's a lot that's airbrushed, trust me. Not that daft.
But when you talk about your childhood, that's pretty brutal from the outside. It seems like it was, especially when you got to a certain age and you were told that you were adopted and all these sorts of things. So was it a conscious decision to say, yes, everything's going in, pretty much, that needs to go in for the film, was it, and the book? Was it like, if I'm going to do it, everything's going in?
Well, it's not quite how you write a book. You have to decide on what the theme of the book is. And it could have been, as some of my illustrious male peers within the two-tone fraternity have done, a potted history or a diary or some such thing. I didn't want to do that. And I didn't just want it to be about two-tone. I mean, that's a fairly short story, isn't it, really? I mean, I'm very pleased that the idea of two-tone lives in people's minds 45 years later. But when you actually look at the period of time that we occupied, that was fairly short. And we were the only band that actually stuck with two-tone for, certainly for an album. And have run, I suppose, with that idea, because I think it was important to us. I mean, we're black people in this country at a certain time, with very, very racist attitudes. Then you'd be forgiven to thinking that, not much had changed when I look around these days. But there you are. I mean, that was what it was about. And I thought, well, that's what needs to get put across, because it's only through talk that people actually understand maybe what racism is. There's no reason why white people should know anything about racism. It doesn't really affect you. You know what I mean? It affects us. So I was just trying to give one person's point of view, and it's a strange point of view, because I grew up in a white working class family. I'm mixed race, and therefore I spied on people, if you like, or I just sat there in the corner and listened to what people talked about. And this was in Essex, so all right, that's a bit more radical down there in those terms. And I thought, well, yes, that's what I'm going to talk about. That's what I'm going to talk about,
And I don't know if everybody here has seen the film. If you haven't, I urge you to. But there are bits when we get onto two-tone, and I think we forget how radical that movement was. And you say it's only a few years, and it's sort of a bit like Pauline burst into flames and moved on. But when you look back now, do you think we'll ever get something like that again?
Oh, I hope so. Goodness me, I mean, the world is in deathly need of people who are standing up. I mean, good old Bob Vylan and Kneecap seem to be sort of, running right now. But I mean, look how he was vilified. Again, a mixed race person. I dare say he's seen an awful lot during his time. And but he stands up, and suddenly he is, just something, he is the scourge, if you like, or is scourged by every media report that came out of Glastonbury. And we were at Glastonbury, and they got really nervous about who they were going to televise and who they weren't going to televise. And so we didn't get televised. And there were various other people who, Nadine Shah, she didn't get televised either. And both of us had actually turned around and said, because the last time we played Glastonbury was in 2016, and I remember it very clearly because that's the day when everybody voted for Brexit. And I was just so angry. It's the angriest I've ever been on a stage. I just couldn't believe that the people in Britain, who fought against fascism in the war actually were embracing it, or embracing those people who were pushing towards that whole kind of jingoistic, stupid kind of little island kind of nonsense that's going on now. And was that blunt enough? And so, yeah, both Nadine and I had turned round when we'd been given offers to come and play the Avalon stage. The Avalon stage is great. It's next door to the latrines and it stinks. So I don't care. I've headlined it. I don't need to do it again. Smells, right? Left field stage, great. Love Billy Bragg. Love all those things, But we just thought, hang on a minute. They hardly have any women on, certainly during our time in coming up. Maybe that's changed now. And the best thing they can do is actually televise us. So we refused to go on a stage that wasn't going to be televised. So they just put us on at a time and then told us, oh, well, the BBC cameramen, they don't work before 12.
Well, we know that's not true.
Well, yeah.
We know that's not true. But it's interesting that you mentioned Kneecap and Bob Vylan, because they've been very much vilified for this whole, their outspoken views. But did Two Tone, do you remember back in the day, the press really went after those two bands, and they were like the diversion, that we made for everything else that going after them. Did the press come after the Two Tone bands back in the day, do you remember?
Yeah, the press did. Not initially, because it was obviously a new movement. There was money to be made, not us, but there was money to be made. And so they let us get on with it and do the two-tone tour and all those kind of things. And then, of course, members of the far right used to come along to various gigs, and they'd stand in the front rows and Zeke Heil at us. We probably got it the worst because, there were 6 black people in the Selector. We were officially known as, I think, the Selector +6, and the Specials were known as the Specials +2. In certain circles, anyway, and then it all kicked off at Hatfield, Hatfield Polytechnic, and we literally were just kind of in a back room and rather in fear of what was going to happen to us. Madness ran off, so yes, it was. Then reappeared, say, in The Sun the following day, which obviously had a huge readership in those days, that we were in support of far-right groups. Quite how they managed to get to that, but it is The Sun. And I feel that people have remained sort of apart from real hardcore fans and people who know what it was about, and certainly what our stance was within Two Tone. It kind of stopped it going overground and becoming a proper phenomenon, as it were, because they didn't want to deal with that aspect. They didn't want to explain that. And it's quite difficult to explain why certain elements of the skinhead fraternity feel that way, when most skinheads that I know don't. And you can't explain that in an interview with some idiot who just wants to know, what colour DMs you buy.
If we can just go back to the film, and there are some lovely moments in it, and some quite heartbreaking ones, because obviously Gaps is in it. And when it came to the time to make the decision to carry on, was that something that obviously you had pre-agreed with Gaps, and what was it like the first time going back out on stage?
Well, it was odd because it didn't all happen overnight. I mean, Gaps died of cancer, and so we knew he was ill as far back as 2023. And I mean, you know, it's first of all we had to get over the shock how somebody who was so fit. I didn't know a fitter person than him. You know, he ran 5K every day. You know, he's a superb dancer, just superb at everything. So, you know, physical, but had physicality about it. So, the first time that I knew that he had actually been diagnosed with cancer was a couple of days before we supported Blur and Paul Weller at Wembley Stadium in that year, on August the 9th, I think it was, or something. And we had, you know, we did not want to do the gig. It was too late to pull the gig. We had a set list which we had to change because he wasn't there. And so everything was very fraught. And he was in hospital at that time and undergoing chemotherapy. But we thought he would get better. So we said, well, look, you know, we'll get on with it, kind of thing. You get better, take as long as you need, and all of those things. And so he went through chemotherapy and he went through radiotherapy, and then he managed to get back on. The both of us were out guesting with Jules Holland on their kind of autumn shows. And I don't know how he managed to do that, because he literally walked out of hospital after his last dose of chemotherapy and just kind of got on the stage and started doing what he did, you know. And he had tremendous respect among his whole orchestra. And then he managed to do another 2 shows last year in 2024 in the January, but then it just happened really, really quickly. We were due to go to America to do a festival there, and he ended up back in hospital, and they just gave him a few months, as I thought, to live. And it actually, you know, I just said goodbye to him. We flew off, did the show on the Friday, did the show on the Saturday and the Sunday, flew back on the Monday, and he died while we were in the air on the way back. So when we got back on the Tuesday, he'd gone. And we really weren't expecting, I mean, yeah, really weren't expecting that.
Well, it's a heartbreaking thing, and I think now when we're reaching an age where we're losing many prominent figures in music, you know, Terry Hall, Ozzy Osbourne, whoever you want, it's unfortunately coming round. But was there a desire? Did you ever think about, well, that's it, or was it no? This is what I'm doing. We're going forward.
Well, while he was ill, there were gigs to do, and so we did the gigs. You know, we paid Gaps exactly the same as we always did, and kind of, you know, just kind of included him in the whole thing while he was in hospital or whether he was at home. So you know, as far as we were concerned, we were keeping the light on until he could come back. After that, then it was sort of a different story. But yeah, I talked to Gaps about it. I mean, he had no wish that we should stop in that way. Yeah. And every time we do a gig, you know, you get these things. Well, it's kind of, we go and put those on his grave. Well, then you know, he's still there and he's still doing a gig down there, you know.
Let's bring the mood up slightly. Also in the film, you interviewed with Rhoda in a hotel. Why,
in bed, yeah.
Why did you end up in bed like Bert and Ernie?
Well, where did we... What?
Why did you end up in bed like Bert
Why did we
and
end up
Ernie?
in bed? Well, because I knew she was coming to the hotel, and I'd done a few interviews with people. And if you're in a hotel room, people normally sit in a chair or they sit on the bed. And that particular day, we were on our way to the IMAX, the BFI IMAX, because they were showing Dance Craze that night. So she turned up in all her finery, and I'd let her in, and I just sort of had this really stupid idea, because I saw her handbag, and I had a little handbag as well, and I said, why don't we just sort of, sit in bed with our handbags fully clothed? And she went for it. The director thought it was a really good idea. It was probably a bit crazy. But, what we were trying to reference, for anyone who thinks we're a pair of, sort of lesbians or whatever. Everybody probably thinks, probably people think that anyway. They've always thought that about me, so it's untrue. Sorry to disappoint. And you remember Yates's wine lodges? Yeah, you remember when they had sawdust on the floor? Yeah, an old girl, she used to sort of sit in there, like Minnie Caldwell and Lena Sharples in Coronation Street. They'd have their handbags on the table and they'd have a little sherry. And they'd just sit there, sort of staring into space, saying absolutely nothing, husband dead, sort of having a little drink. And so we thought it would look like that. It obviously doesn't. But, it needed some levity.
Can we talk about Coventry? Just for a moment, because obviously you moved from Romford, so I take it Coventry is the place that you call home.
Oh God, yes, I hated Romford. I think I can say that. Is there anyone here from Romford?
Yes.
Oh. Where do you live?
Romford.
No, yeah, where?
The Waterloo Estate.
Where?
The Waterloo Estate. That's not there.
It's not down.
It's been knocked down, yeah.
I don't know that.
Big sets of flats. The Waterloo Estate.
What's it near?
Station, behind the station.
Oh, behind the station, near Old Church Hospital. All right, yeah, you're from Romford. Yeah. No, you would be surprised. Romford had a posh end called Gidea Park, right? And people from Gidea Park now say they're from Romford. You didn't then. Where? Dagenham? No, it's my birth mother lived in Dagenham. So I suppose technically I did for a bit. A few months,
Yeah, back to geography and Coventry. Do you think that being the City of Culture in 2021 made any long-term difference to Coventry?
Well, yes. There was £1 million shortfall that the council had to mop up. So yes, it did make some long-term difference to Coventry, and I think there were a lot of people there who were seriously pissed off. I mean, people within the community. That was not what City of Cultures are supposed to be about. But what tends to happen with City of Cultures is that they don't trust the community to have interesting enough things to kind of put on show or be doing or any of those things. That's not to say the community was shut out. They weren't shut out. There were lots of things that they were involved in, but they could have been involved in more. Now, they ship people in from London, normally, and, to show all us provincial types how it should be done. And that's a bit what happened. And so there were lots of people who were jetting off all over the place, spending money, and they ended up with £1 million shortfall, which I think was outrageous.
Yeah.
And I hope the same thing doesn't happen to Bradford, but I think something similar happened in Hull. So. Yeah, exactly. It was not good, not good.
And if we're going to end on a positive, because I want to ask you about the Coventry Music Museum, and for people that haven't been, if you're going past, it's definitely worth a visit. It's a fantastic place run by Pete Chambers. So could you give it a nice little plug so we can get some more people up to Coventry?
People call it the Two-Tone Museum. It's actually Coventry Music Museum, and it's run by this really great guy who's curated practically everything, I think, from Vince Hill's Edelweiss, he lived nearby, Burt Whedon, Playing a Day, he lived in Nuneaton, I think, and so it's not just kind of Coventry people, it's all the people around, but I mean obviously Two-Tone, because it made the biggest splash, if you like, in the musical world is, and a lot of us live in Coventry still. Yeah, that's a big linchpin of everything, and obviously, you know, Neville and Christine used to be down there a lot, and they're here this weekend. And the only person I know who didn't visit there was Terry. It's but Roddy's always down there. Yeah, Neville likes to go down for a free meal.
So, can we end with 10 quickfire questions?
Okay.
Dance craze or quadrophenia?
Dance craze.
I wouldn't speak for it, to be honest. I really would.
Well, Quadrophenia is a dreadful film, but I mean the thing is one's an actual dramatisation, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Dance Craze isn't that. It's a documentary, yeah, I'd have to say that because I suppose I'm in it. But as the wonderful thing about Dance Craze was it used the Steadicam for the very first time when there were huge, great things and some poor guy had to be moved around like a robot. And you can see that because you're in there, you're in the action, you're on the stage and all of those things.
It's a lovely moment when he gets in your way and you stare.
Oh, like that, yeah. I growl at him, yeah. Joe's lovely, and I mean he's in his 90s now, but he's forgiven me.
Missing Words or 3 Minute Hero?
I'm Missing Words every time.
Gorillas.
It's a woman's song. Yeah.
Gorillas or Blur?
Oh, Gorillas every single time.
Body Snatchers or The Beat?
Twin those two. She'll hit me with her handbag, for Christ's sake.
Coca-Cola or coffee?
Coca-Cola or coffee? Coffee.
Slam Dunk or Rebellion?
Rebellion.
Slam Dunk or what?
Slam Dunk Festival or Rebellion Festival?
Oh, Rebellion.
Hey!
Folk music or...
Slam Dunk's too young. When I went there, there was all these little people all running around thinking their punks had to know what to do with them. They probably didn't know who we were either.
Folk music or rock and roll?
Folk music or rock and roll? No, it's got to be rock and roll, really. I mean, black people invented it. Mind you, we did folk too, technically. Yeah.
Dr. Martens or loafers?
Oh, Doc Martens, every single time.
Theatre or TV?
Theatre.
And finally, punk or reggae?
Ska. Hey, I said that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are out of time. Just to let you know that Pauline will be signing some books in about 15 or 20 minutes over there, once we've gone and got them from her car.
We've got to run to a car park and get them and then run back.
And Pauline will sign anything you want to put in front of her, but she would love you to take a book home with you as well. It just leaves for me to say thank you so very much. It's been
My
a wonderful
pleasure.
half an hour.
I love you.
Pauline,